Hello and welcome back to Sabodi Showdown. It's me, Jake, and I'm tagging in for Rene, but we're still here with our special guest, Josh.
Hello. We're gonna watch Rene. I was just commentating with him, and now we're gonna watch him. Hopefully, well, we'll see if he wins or loses. I think this is supposed to be a favored matchup for him, but we will see how it shakes out.
Yeah, we've got Rene versus Tinnoy for our Division 2, and it is Rayleigh versus GP. Now, I hear
Our
you're playing a little bit of Rayleigh at the moment. How do you find
Yes,
this
I
matchup?
am. It's favored for Rayleigh, I believe. I think it's supposed to be one of his better matchups. But it's. I was telling Renee earlier. It's like
No, no,
even a
no, no.
20% win rate is still 1 in 5. So we'll see how it shakes out. But I'm looking to learn some. I think this is one of the great things about Sabodi Showdown is that you can watch these games and learn from some of the best players out there. You guys are hosting some of the best One Piece players, and so we get to see how they play and pick up on the little details of what they're doing. Which I was seeing some of that in the last series with Rails, and maybe we'll get to witness a little bit more of that here.
It is so good to see just a very weird lines which you don't normally get to see
Mhm.
in some of these games.
I feel
Okay,
like I've been towing this line recently of One Piece. It's such a hard game. Like the more I play it, the more I'm just like, this is such a difficult game, dude. And I feel like it actually got harder once Moria got banned because there's so much more reliance on combat and countering on the board since removal is so much less of a deal. Um, I feel like the game you really need to know those fundamentals, and that part of the game is a lot more complex than it initially seems.
I definitely agree with you there. I've noticed a lot of players sort of at local levels who, when that Moria ban hit, just forgot how to combat maths. There
Hmm.
had been zero cards in hand in the opponent's hand, and they'd still be trying to remove with cost reduction rather than just swinging at it. We
And
are getting to see Rene on the second curve here, which is always the preferred curve for Rayleigh.
pretty typical turn one. I mean, as Rayleigh, you typically prefer to see two searchers on that first turn. Um,
However,
and
our first searcher did at least find the 4-cost Luffy, which is a pivotal card for this deck.
right. What are the big tools that GP now has access to deal with that card? Um, they're
It
not
can
really
be very
running.
hard. There's a lot
Yeah,
of lists are running less of the 4-cost Zoros, which we have seen Tinnoy just add to hand. But sometimes, because that 4-cost Luffy can quite easily be a 6k on your opponent's turn, that 4-cost Zoro can even struggle getting over it.
and I don't think Rails was running electric. No, he was running Luna. So that obviously a very, uh, I would assume a very good card in this matchup still.
Yeah, Luna can be a very big blowout card in this matchup. Some Another card that I've noticed the GP Luffy's players and purple decks in general running at the moment is Hell's Judgment, which not only is very good against these wide, small decks like Rady, but also has that great use into decks like Zoro.
All right, quick. What are those counter events?
That is the Armament Hacky and then the Searcher Hacky, I believe.
Observation. There you go.
That's the one. It was definitely an armament, but I'll have to confirm later on about the second one.
So two 5Ks coming through early. Searcher rested, of course, which is always fine. 6 cards in hand for Rene.
Have a quick look at our lists today. So yeah, we Tin is on two of these focal stars, which can help keep the aggro down a little bit. Uh, Here's a very good situation from uh, he's able to take out this 4-cost Luffy while there's no rested Don on.
That is the tough thing about having him on curve. 'Cause at least you could go 7k with leader when you're on odd.
Yep, and we will see if Rene has sort of has a second one, or whether he. It is always a toss up whether you want, because we saw the Zoro being added, whether we were okay to lose that Luffy. But we do
He
find
does
a
take
second
it
one
up
here,
here.
so we will be able to re-establish a very strong board.
And still access to 1 extra Dawn. So he can get 6 and a 7k. Or actually, he can even boost up that Sanji as well to get an
Those
8k
Dons
swing.
do add up,
He really does.
and we are going to be revealing the uh, observation and the armament haki again. And oof, we are seeing the second Luffy into Sanji, which is absolutely brutal.
And how much are you worried about life here? Or
As
swinging at life? As the Rayleigh, are you swinging board? Are you swinging life?
now, this is a turn where we do have this sort of radius of 7k. I would quite like taking out this Zoro, just because it really
Yeah.
reduces how much Tim will be able to swing back at your own board. And we've still got a little bit of time before we're going to be seeing 6k leader GP, so just controlling the board here does feel very nice.
Revealing the anti-blocker and I believe armament hockey again to swing 8k and clear that Zoro.
We are on the 7 Don turn for Tinnoy. This is always a turn which we love to see the Luffy Taro. However, I do know the Luffy Taro numbers have generally been going down in the list of GP to make room for some of our more tech cards. And
He
we
is
do
running
just see this
two.
um, the unfortunate thing about playing this without the Luffy Taro is we don't get the draw off of Sanji Pudding.
Right.
Every card in this matchup is so important.
Hmm.
Oh, we do see our second Zoro.
5k over the 3k.
Now, this could be a tempting turn to potentially try and defend this, because Rene's hand size is quite big.
And an extra 6k swing is not to be scoffed at here either.
Especially seeing as it is one of your larger attackers in the deck. But I suppose Rene has let this go. We do know he's got the third Luffy in hand, so maybe he's not too worried about losing his board here.
Yeah. As long as he is going to get a free 8k swing here yet again with his Luffy, since he'll be able to boost that up to an 8k as well. So nothing too spooky. There's also the Mulgun option,
Yeah,
which is
and
available.
that Mulgun is a huge card in this matchup, really.
Hmm.
Denying Sanji Pudding is always well loved.
He's got a library in his hand right now, it looks like.
He does. He is not short for options, especially with 8 Don and with how cheap all of our cards are. He could be doing any number of plays here. Now, we are going to
That's
start.
observation, I'm assuming.
Yep, we are going to start our turn off with the Searcher. which is always nice to see what increasing our options before we commit any number of plays.
So the Luffy, once this Dawn is attached, will be an 8K. Did he boost the Luffy or the Shocky?
Now I'm not too sure. Here's where the
We'll see.
power
We're about to
counters
find
are
out, I suppose.
really amazing, but we'll have to wait and see. We are just gonna take control of this board state by getting rid of this Zoro.
He could go 6 and 6 with the Shakuyaku and the Luffy while playing the Mole Gun. It's
I
an option.
definitely do prefer small and wide swings into GP list.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's that.
Rene has confirmed in chat that this Luffy was the one buffed,
Okay.
which does make sense. Tinnoy taking that 8K swing. And now this feels pretty scary for Tinnoy. We don't have the value from the Sanji pudding on board anymore. And we have now kept the Luffy and established a Boa which can stick around next turn as well.
Yeah, and
Boa.
your Luna's not getting any value here if that's something that you were banking on because you're only going to be freezing one Luffy. It doesn't feel great to attack the Luffy because now you're attacking a 6K base as opposed to 5K in the Rayleigh leader. You have to reestablish your board presence and you are at one life. So even the rush Luffy doesn't feel good because you have exactly one life. Every option
You
doesn't feel great.
see this powerful just Luffy Taro into Sanji pudding. We are getting the draw, and we are becoming a 6K leader with a lot of Don left to utilize. It's just whether we have enough Don to keep up our defenses, while also potentially threatening this Luffy.
Usohachi good here. He's not going to have really any blockers to rest, but he can help you to control the board if you are in desperation mode.
Just any counter is appreciated in this matchup.
Absolutely.
Are going in 8K into I assume that Luffy. Did know his Rene has got duplicates of this unblockable event in hand, so we are seeing one of them being used as counter. But what will be the second card?
Maybe Shaku or Searcher. Oh, it's another 2K. The armament hockey, it looks like.
Yes, that is the armament. Luckily, the armament one is the easier one to spot because it has that bit of blue on it. But
It's different. Yeah, it's
yeah,
actually different.
it's not just this elephant being abused in as many different ways as possible.
There's the green, the blue, and the orange. And the green one, Conqueror's hockey is at least foil, so can't really tell on webcam, but
No, and it can
revealing
be a little
one.
bit harder. But we do have Thea Conqueror and the Unblockable here being revealed. And we are going to be swinging with this boa first.
How many cards is Tinnoy at now? Forced to counter with a 2K as GP Luffy's off an R.
Does Tinnoy does have a decent sized hand in this situation.
Oof. And third Luffy
Third
coming down.
into another boa. This is why this matchup can feel so rough. Boards just doesn't stop coming.
And it's a point as Rene too where you're starting to you have so much the decisions almost become more difficult because it's like like what's going to help me to maintain my lead now, you know? And you can screw that up. You can choose the wrong card even when you are ahead. Here obviously very favored. I want to say difficult for him to lose, but it's these situations where it becomes almost easier to make bad mistakes.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely think it's always you see more players make misplays while there are in a head situations.
mhm.
But I think adding this second Mulgun is so powerful. Clearing this Sanji pudding uh, is just so good against GP, making sure they lose Don from their leader power.
This is
I think
very strong.
we are seeing a big swing coming in here.
Tinnoy probably wondering whether he's gonna giant here.
Yep. However, if he doesn't have another Sanji pudding in hand, then leader powering next turn could be pretty awful. We are seeing the Ludo discard here, and I'm really liking how Rene has not kept much rested, so Tinnoy has never found a good angle to use this Luna.
There hasn't been a single one that has felt good. A single situation in which playing Luna would feel very good here. By trashing that boa, he's able to put more pressure on via his Luffy attack, and never really swinging with anything on the board or leaving anything rested besides just one character at a time, which is just really good. Granted, he has seen the options from his deck that allow him to do that. You're not always going to have access to that kind of conservative playing around Luna type of play, but Rene has done a really good job of doing that here.
But I think, as we said before, this is where even if your deck sees everything, it's how you use everything.
Exactly. And leaving a Dawn up here to help ostensibly to protect his board if need be. But you could probably comfortably let go of this Luffy.
Yep, we do have a backup Luffy in the pocket. Plus, we do have a Boa which we can buff up as well. We could certainly get it. Oh, we do have the fourth Luffy there. Uh, you can definitely protect it from the leader, but this Luffy Taurus Wing is just a bit too big to really protect it from.
Yeah, you'd have to give up at least two resources there.
I do like Tinoi adding this extra Don on, just so that Rene can't conquer Haki this for one card. Ooh, we are adding Zoro Juro, which fortunately is another brick in hand.
I'm assuming not really what he wanted to see there.
No, I mean, at least at worst it could be giant fodder. However, the more giants Tinoi is forced to play is really going to start eating away at his Don.
Yeah, he's already pretty pretty low on Dawn here.
Yeah, he's, if I've got this right, I believe he's only on 4 Don now.
Correct. With two up.
Which kind of even puts
Perhaps a
him out of,
Hell's Judgment angle.
yeah, it really even puts him out of range of what GP is very good at, which is just a Hail Mary 6 cost Luffy KO out of nowhere.
Yeah. Interesting pre-allocation of Dawn happening from Rene here. I don't see this much. Swinging 4K. I'm just kidding.
We are just swinging the 6 at life, and it's when GP Luffy starts going low in hand size that these low investment swings really can just tear this hand apart, not being able to get any big value out of the Gum Gum Giants.
Luffy is at a 6k right now, so now swinging 8 with him because there are 2 Dawn attached on the board. From here, it is a little bit. It's an interesting position for Rene, I think, because he has no access to any more Luffy's, correct? So he doesn't really have any board refill now. But I guess this is where he starts going into defensive posturing.
Yep, we know we have seen some of these unblockable events floating around, so we could be trying to just get down to 0 to set one of these up. However,
Mhm.
the Giants are always very good at handling those big K swings. But again, the cards in Tinnoy's hand are really being drained. So, and we have already seen one Giant gone.
And by swinging 8k here, he's basically daring him to play Gum Gum Giant.
Ooh, we are taking this.
The Zoro.
Sure, I do like this a lot because we get to rest some of our own on, which allows the boa to get some value while still extending our board and aggression.
It also plays around Hell's Judgment, if that was a thing that we were worried about, because the Zoro comes out after the fact, so you wouldn't be able to minus it on board.
Yep, it does have that nifty sequencing effect.
He's committing. All done here. Which is just a nice way of getting any resources possible out of opponent's hand. He's forced to Giant.
Yep, I think we had sort of uh could have two thought processes here. If we force this giant here, then Tinnoy just physically won't have enough Don to go for lethal.
Yeah, he's going up
But,
to what, 3 Dawn next turn?
yeah,
4 Dawn?
unless we're swinging with the Nami at very, very low values, we are just not going to be able to break through with 4 swings.
Yeah, and knowing Rene has at least 1 Conquerors in hand, it's
That
a
is the
tough
beauty of
position.
Rayleigh. None of the cards are bricks.
Jack says, "Oh, Boa. Now I know why Josh is playing Rayleigh. You got one of the best Boa cards in the game in the deck. You gotta,
You gotta
you
respect
know,
that.
you gotta play it as a Boa lover." One of the best searchers in the game, for
It,
sure.
I maybe even put it as the top one currently.
Yeah, likely the best.
Just being able to search while it's a free search.
Yeah,
It's just free.
on a 3k body.
It's wild. That is the absolute strength of the Rayleigh deck. Just everything replacing itself.
So he countered 1 swing there. Is that correct?
So
Interesting. With no blocker on board, you kind of just jam, right?
yeah, I'm just wondering how many cards into another's hand we maybe would see um, leader power into Shakiyaki, but that's only investing 2 Don to really get a 1k out of Tinnoy's hand, which is probably not worth it.
He's leaving 1 up, it looks like, just as an
Yep,
emergency
I like this a lot because
button. Yeah.
Tin won't have enough Don to fire back a counter, especially if we see the one Conquer attack he played.
He's gonna get at 2 Dawn. He won't even be able to attack with the Nami.
And we do just see triple 2k from
Wow.
this. That is insane. Right, so we do technically have four swings on Tinnoy's board, but assuming that this isn't a bluff from Rene's side, there's just nothing he can really do to put on the pressure back.
6
In fact,
lead. Takes. 7 lead. Yeah, 6,
number
right?
6.
Because it's 6, 6, 7, 8, I assume.
Hardest using unblockable vent here. Um, I do wonder if we have a second one in hand, just in case
I'm
Tinnoy is on the,
assuming, yeah.
just in case we are on two Don Chopper.
Oh, he
But
didn't have another one. Yeah.
we, yeah, well,
2 down
maybe
chopper would have been scary, but
try to bait him a little bit longer
yeah, yeah.
then, just in case. But I do know a lot of the GP lists have cut that card.
And game 1 going to Rene.
But I do know that two cost chopper is one of Rene's favorite cards, so I wouldn't put it past Tin just to slip one copy of it in just to spite him.
He didn't even have the option to play the Nami blocker because that's 3 Dawn. He only had 2, so
That was
nothing to be concerned
that
about
felt
there.
very one-sided, but that is kind of what we expect from Rayleigh in this matchup, especially when they see the playset of Luffy's right early on. We are going to see this on the opposite curve now, which should give the GP Luffy a little bit more of a chance to really get into this game. But we do see our strongest one cost searcher off the bat.
Spooky, spooky.
I have to say, another one in contention for strongest searcher could be this one cost buggy as well. Not only is it a 3k, but it also has that annoying slash immunity, which we've seen over and over again come up at very weird points in the meta. Annoyingly, that 3k stat line means that even our searchers can't hit over it without any investment.
Right. It is interesting though, because I do the double unblockable event comes out here. But I do feel like it's not that much of a setback to go first as Rayleigh. You get
No,
to put
but
out a little bit more aggression early.
it
And
definitely
even on
feels
turns
like
like this, you still get access to stuff like the Shakuyaku into Boa, Shakuyaku into double buggy. There's a lot of things you can do.
we have got
And he
way too many little small dollar investment drops in this Rayleigh deck that it feels like you can play whatever.
hmm So we don't get anything else on the board here. But maybe this is just the way he's playing. I imagine if there was a Boa, he would have played it. Or maybe he's waiting till next turn, but he could also be playing around Luna with plays like this.
I definitely do prefer building the board up a little bit more against GP rather than just hammering in the early aggression, because you know the aggression will be coming up with you later.
Totally agree. Next turn, he's got the chance to again buff the Luffy up to a 7k. But the nice thing about attacking for 7k on the last turn is that now if you're swinging 7k again, which I'm assuming he's going to, it's just so much more pressure, right? Because Your opponent is a 5k leader right now, and you're
Yep.
swinging for 7, bringing them down to 1 life, while establishing a board of a 6k and probably a 3k or a 6k in the form of Boa or Sanji. Going 5k. Okay, so we are using this first Dawn instead with the Shakuyaku.
It is unfortunate that we haven't really seen any way for Tinnoy to see like a early leader power.
And
Weirdly enough, it seems
the
that we're choosing to run Zorojuros in Tinnoy's list rather than the Frankies.
right.
I do prefer the Frankies in this particular matchup where you want to be squeezing those leader power out just that little bit earlier.
So the interesting thing about this play is that once on the right now the Luffy is a 6k, but if the Nami kills the Shakuyaku, it'll go back down to being a 4k, which makes it more vulnerable to the Zoro once again.
Especially because we are approaching 6 Don for GP Luffy, which is perfect numbers to play the Sanji Pudding leader power and have 4 Don left up to play the Zoro all in one turn.
Right.
I do agree with that. I think I would have preferred saving this Shakiyaki and just doing one big 7 swing.
Um,
Especially because we do see
having a 2 of, we'll see what happens here. It could play out as foretold, but at 2 copies of the Zoro, it's possible it's just not in the hand, right?
yep, especially because we are more likely wanting to be seeing our searching for our Sanji Puddings rather than the
The
other bits.
Zorojuro comes out here.
Yep, Soldier is nice. We are just building up board without losing any cards in hand, and every card is so important in this matchup because you are going to be getting poked the whole game.
Not punished here, notably, and has gotten quite a bit more value out with this line of play than he would have otherwise. Unless, I mean, on the other hand, he would have had Tinnoy down to 0 life here potentially, or down 2 more cards in hand by swinging 7k. Um,
Now, Tinnoy here choosing to not swing into life here. We are gonna trying to starve Rayleigh a little bit more in this game. It seems. I wonder if that's because he's worried about trying to take out this 6k body off the Luffy.
it is a difficult situation because I feel like if they've already seen what they need to see, it can be difficult. It feels like almost potentially too late to try starving, but I've seen it work. It's not a traditional type of starve where you're gonna fully choke the opponent out of resources. It's more of a preventing them from seeing their nuts early, which is a lot of the times what you lose to. Um, but here, so let's see how this ends up working out.
We are gonna trade searches. Not too keen on trading searches here because late game we can use this Shakiyaki as a potential attacker for life, whereas Tinoi can't really. But we are
Right.
seeing the second Luffy, and we are going to get straight into our biggest attack of Asanji.
We're gonna go 8k, potentially into a 9k.
This 8k is such an annoying number for the GP. Yeah, especially where we don't have the Don up to use events. I wonder if we'll keep this Don active to try and use it to protect our own board.
It looks like that's what's happening, but okay, we get our boost on the Luffy here for another 8k swing, potentially 9.
And we are reducing down to 0 life, and that's especially relevant because we do know that the unblockable events are in hand.
Renee's line of thinking seeming to be that because he's being starved out, the swing at the searcher feels more correct.
Yep, I
Um,
definitely think there's an argument for both. I do like that line of reasoning as well.
Also, now that he's taking it out, there's no real good. There's nothing great to be swinging at the board with, because you'd have to swing at the Shakuyaku with your leader, uh, which doesn't feel the best here. Although I guess if you're, it's not a big deal if you are not swinging at life at all.
Our counter move our first is power event. We know we do have a second one in hand. I do wonder what other counter cards we do have in Rene's possession, because Loki, I wouldn't hate just going poking double unblockable swings 2 turns in a row, just in case he counters out the first one.
Yeah. At this point, with so much life and you're
But
being starved, it's just jamming a couple turns in a row with no real threat to you is it's not a bad line.
finally seeing Rene get a life card,
And the starve
and
is off. The second Sanji pudding comes down.
now we are going to be able to just lead a power for free every turn. Now, this is the trouble when we don't have those mole guns. The Dong can just get really out of hand on the GP side. But at 0 life, even with a million Don, will he be able to stabilize?
The tough ask at this point because the clock is ticking. It's been ticking for a while now, and we know he's got unblockable events, so the options are running thin for Tinnoy. And I think at this point, it's like, because we have made the decision to start swinging at the opponent, as Tinnoy, it's like, what is the difference now whether Rene has access to 7 cards in hand versus 4, right? Like,
A
how much
hundred
have we
percent.
really accomplished?
We've got such a clock on us now that at 0 life, that we do have to threaten something. Otherwise, we are just gonna die. Even if we counter out this turn on 0 life, what about the next turn?
Exactly.
It may we maybe just be trying to set ourselves up for a Hail Mary all in if we do survive.
Yeah, but it's so hard to deal that much damage to Rayleigh in a single turn just because of Conqueror's Hockey. If he's got, a couple Dawn active, it's a difficult proposition. Even if you do have access to something like Dead Man's Game. Um,
You're still having to use up a lot of Don for Dead Man's Game just to take out one Conqueror's Haki.
yep. Which are
Although
it's still 2K counter in hand.
the value of Conqueror's Haki against such a wide board is incredible. Not only are we getting the 2K counter, but we are minusing the whole board by 1K, which over 5 bodies, that's another 5K of counter power we're kind of generating from one cost card.
And as we were discussing earlier, it's still, Rene is clearly ahead. It's his to win, but it's also his game to lose, right? Like you could still make mistakes in this position. You can with what 5 Dawn active. It's not an easy kill here, and if you overextend, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Choosing to pick
But
up this Mulgun. So we do have a potential angle where we just poke and Mulgun, which again that does completely guarantee us a lot of safety if we Mulgun one of these.
just have to make sure to attach something if he wants to use that. Or actually, the Sanji is a 6K already. Um, is this a double Mulgun angle?
That would be absolutely crazy.
It's looking possible.
Do see the Hell's Judgment. Hell's Judgment is seeing how it's such a fantastic card in this matchup. Really can stop these little pokes, which generally it's the pokes which do tear apart GP, but it definitely
Right.
does push GP Rene to maybe take a more Mulgun defensive play here.
I don't really know whether this got reduced. I'm assuming it got reduced. His leader.
I would assume the leader was the target because you'd kind of want the Luffy to swing, if anything, just so that you
So this
can
would be a
take
7K
it out.
swing.
I was seeing myself hover this last 4 Don. Yeah, and hovering 4 Don, well, we do have a Mulgun in hand. That is true. Rene has pointed out in chat that because the Luffy is reduced, um, we just will not be able to control a 6K body to get the pop effect of the Mulgun.
Oh, so the Luffy and the Sanji were both reduced?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's rough.
Some
And he could have attached the Dawn to the Luffy to bring it back to a 6K. He
yeah,
had that information, right?
we could have split the Don more evenly to um do that, and also then we'd have had 2 pokes as well.
And has leader effect been used here? Yeah, it's difficult because now you only have 4 Dawn left. And so I guess he just didn't realize, he didn't think about the fact that he doesn't have a 6K on the board to use his mole gun.
No, but it is these little things which matter in these matchups.
It's the conditionals that get you.
Yep.
And so, as we said, it was the game that looked completely over. Tinnoy has chances now.
Especially because we do have quite a lot of Don on Tinnoy's side, so we are going to have a lot of options.
I do wonder if,
Oh,
oh,
and
we
we
got a
are just
kidding
going
killer
to
coming out.
fire away a Kid Killer, which is unfortunately only hitting a 7K into a 6K leader.
Yeah, 7K versus GP Luffy. Not the greatest just because they run so many 2Ks, but getting out a giant here.
I mean, I'm having to discard a Luna for it as well.
I'm assuming not what Tinnoy wants to do in that position either. So as Rene,
No,
you feel good that you at least got that resource out of hand, even though your opponent's board is terrifying.
especially because we there's always the threat now at zero life. There's always the threat for unblockable swing, everything to life every turn now, and those
Exactly.
giants are the main ways that we can really would stop that from happening. Straight away, we're just taking it, trying to clear as much of this board as we can.
Yeah, it's weird because in Renee's shoes, like, one of your options is just jam, leave a Dawn up, on that last turn. Simple,
Yeah,
puts a lot
and
of
I
pressure on
think
the opponent. But if they
that's
just keep having the counter, you can get heavily punished for that.
however, there is only so much counter we can be doing this GP list because we will run out of giants, we will run out of Hell's Judgment, and that, at the end of the day, that is a huge commitment to be swinging out, countering out of.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that where we did at one point have the double unblockable in Rene's hand, that we could have definitely forced uh, double unblockable two turns in a row.
I mean, yeah, he didn't even need. There was no blocker on the board, right?
No, didn't. We knew that was the unblockable hand, so didn't even bother.
Okay, so Rene taking life here. There's a third Sanji pudding on the board, so as Rene, you gotta try to close this out now.
Yeah, because now it's looking like this. This is going to be very hard to survive, especially when we're only at 3 life, which is weird saying only 3 life, but that is a lot of very decently big. We've got 5 characters into Tinnoy's board. That is a wide board, and while we do get we'll be getting a lot of value out of Conquest Haki. Oh, we are even going down to 2 life here.
Just the playing a Zorojuro on top of the Zorojuro.
But it does its job. We find another
2K.
counter because our biggest threat here, realistically, is sort of a poke with Luffy into a
Mm-hmm.
huge swing with Rayleigh. Even if we do have multiple Conquest Haki from Rene's hand, we also have to be very careful of the Dead Man's Game now, which they run.
And he passes game after swinging 7, or passes turn, it seems, after swinging 7, which Rene takes and says, "Good luck."
Another one, even despite the big hand. I wonder if we are just trying to really find our Don extenders in this matchup.
Yeah, the Gum Gum. What was the Red Hawk? Is that what it? King Kong Gatling.
Yes, King Kong Gatling is the one.
That's what you're looking for here, and you do get a free 8K swing with your Luffy, which is not to be underestimated. He's gonna look for it with the boa, which again is a free search,
We also
because
do
the
have Armament Haki, which can increase our Don by 1.
yep. So any of those where he can squeeze out, 1 or 2 extra Dawn, it's going to help him a
Every
lot in this
counter
position.
matters.
The observation hockey here, also essentially a free way to look for that. But I think you're always attaching 2 to leader, right? And swinging for probably 9k with your Luffy.
Are revealing Mulgun. We are revealing Conqueror's Haki here.
Attaching 2 to his Luffy and swinging for, what is that?
If we've leader powered onto this, plus we've got the Luffy buffs,
8.
then we would be swinging for 10 here. We are seeing the giant plus 1k to counter out this. Now, do we just go all down on leader and go for it?
I think that's your only option at this point, right? Yeah.
Other kid killers,
Good
but I
luck
do.
to us.
It is probably our best bet. We have already seen, I believe, we are 2 giants this game. So, Tinnoy may not have the third one. Nope. Oh, no, it is a dead man's game instead.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh my
My god.
goodness. And it,
Whoa.
wow.
We are just gonna see the concede.
Holy, that was unexpected.
That
And
was
that's,
crazy.
yeah, that's a lot of counter.
And certainly, yeah, if we'd have said a couple turns ago that Tinoi was going to be able to get the victory from this game, I would not have believed you.
That's what I'm saying, where it's your game to win, but it's also your game to lose at that point. You can make a small mistake. I mean, that was a large mistake from Rene. The not taking into consideration the minus 3Ks from Hell's Judgment that ended up costing him removing an entire Sanji pudding from the board, having to play that turn extremely suboptimally. That's the kind of mistake that just it loses you the game. And I think Rene still picking up a lot of the details of this deck, a lot of the nuances of how you have to play it in a matchup like this. But I'm sure he will not make that mistake again, and I hope to prevent that mistake from happening in my games in the future because it's the kind of thing that can turn a game around.
Yep, I have to say, I am also looking at sort of maybe looking at this Rayleigh deck as well, and I definitely wouldn't have considered the. While I'd be trying to play around the Hell's Judgment in terms of countering value, I would not have considered it turning off the Mulgun, which is a new aspect of this matchup. I've not actually seen in uh, done before.
Right. Well, because even if he had delayed, I mean, there's ways you could play around it, right? Where you can attach, you can use your Shakuyaku, um, essentially making it so that if he uses the Hell's Judgment early, you're getting rid of one of your things, or you could just use it straight away, where you just attach 2 Dawn to your leader and then immediately use it, or just use it right when the turn starts because your Sanji's already a 6k. Um, and just ensuring that you remove that pudding immediately. Um, but
There definitely was ways of playing around it,
it's easy
but
to
it is
say after the fact.
that's always the way. The amount of times I've seen my own games being commentated in this league, and I'm horrified at what I see when watching myself.
Yeah, it's always different, even when you're watching your own games back. It's like, I would never make this mistake, right? And then you do. Boa coming out on turn 1. What did that pull?
believe it
Conqueror's
was
Hockey?
Conqueror's Haki. It was either Conqueror's Haki or Observation Haki.
Okay.
It had an elephant on it.
The misplay isn't too bad if I realize that it had happened because then I can just attach 3 or 4 more Dawn. Yeah, that's exactly because he committed that Dawn to his leader, but if he had just attached it to the Luffy afterwards, he would be fine. But because he had already attached it to his leader, he couldn't make up for the fact that his stuff was already reduced. So um, that's why it was like way too late after.
Oh, seeing this just Luffy on curve gameplay. Luffy into Sanji are perfect world.
A truly a man of skill, our friend Rene.
Pointed out in chat. Rene has got some sneaky good quality proxies, whereas Tinnoy is flexing a world's Don right in our face. I think Tinnoy's Don set does cost more than most of the decks I play.
As a min rare player, it yeah probably costs more than my
I
last 3
support the
decks
min
combined.
rare movement.
The min rare movement, aka not having disposable income.
I could get alt arts, but I feel I always play worse when I have alt arts.
It is spooky. I play worse when my opponent has all alt arts, I will say, because I'm like, I remember playing a Lucci player who put out like, I don't know, a Khalifa or something that was an alt art, and I'm like, what is that card? I have to ask my opponent what it is, and then like, I played against some dude who was playing mangas in his deck, and I was like, what is this card? I'm like, can I look at that card? And then I'm afraid to touch it, you know. So I
That
don't,
is
I don't want
always
to
the
like
worst.
look through my opponent's trash because I'm like I'm liable for his manga now.
I have to say, the one which throws me off is when I've watched YouTube videos and people have changed the sim, One Piece sim, to alt arts, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't follow this. I don't recognize the alt arts.
It shouldn't be as difficult as it is because, and yeah, and they have the alt arts for even the real obscure cards that you never see,
It's like
and
this
it's just
card
it's
has an
real
alt.
tough. The full art Raizo from PRBO1.
Ah, my favorite. So we are seeing the Shaki Yaka here, and we are adding Nam and Haki. Do have. Here's the thing with Rayleigh, you never know what's coming next apart from before on turn. That's pretty much the only guaranteed turn where you're like, I know what they're gonna do. Everything else could be a million combinations of 100 different things.
I'm gonna predict he's not gonna play a Luffy here though, because he's
Yep.
got 4 things on the board.
If we have seen Double Searcher, unless we were trying to search for that Luffy as well.
Yeah, but even then, you probably don't. I want to say you don't play it in this situation. I don't know. A rusher would be
Def-
preferable. I would.
we
I would
definitely could
think.
save it if we did have it for when we lose board and to rebuild board.
Yeah. Or when you. I was gonna say when you get Luna'd, but by then it's already too late.
Are buffing this Sanji up. We are revealing the search event and then using the search event. And there we go. We've got the Luffy set up for next turn.
Right when we want it.
And the worst part is, Tinnoy is still only a 5k leader. However, we do have 2 Don up. And where these swings are going to be largely uninvested, Hell's Judgment could do a lot of work. We
It's a
are seeing,
7K at lead, and then an 8 and an 8, I believe, right?
yeah, this will be 8-8 into lead. Oh, we are going down to 1 life already. But because we did take those life, we get the Thunder the one-off copy of Thunder Bag were activated, which is a huge,
That's big,
huge
yeah.
thing for GP. Not only do we get maximum counter value out of it, but this additional Don is going to help us. However, I do wonder if this additional Don may cause a little bit of problems with not being able to get the draw from Sanji Pudding.
True, true. It could be worth it if the extra tempo with the extra tempo here. But again, we will see how it shakes out. Zoro Churro going to do a quick search here. And, that extra Dawn without a play in hand. Because if he had a Luffy Taro or some such, I imagine he would have played it. Or Sanji Pudding, for instance.
Yeah, this is interesting here. We do have four Don left. We could always lead a power and then play a Sanji Pudding. But it looks like we are
Yeah,
just going to be
no.
going
Oh,
double Zorojuro. Zorojuro being one of these sneaky searchers, which can search itself.
yeah. That's tough to ramp. You've ramped to 8, but you don't really have an effective way to use that. You've got two 6Ks on the board, but again, it hasn't bought you much in this situation. You
It
can
does
get a
let us
free leader effect.
does let us use our leader power now, which is going to be helpful being a 6K leader versus Rayleigh, because you do get. I mean, Rayleigh tears apart 6K leaders. So I dread to think how much damage some of these things would have been against a 5 life leader.
And GP looking kind of like a normal deck right now, right? With this current board state. Good.
This
Not
is
great
looking
deck without those
scary.
Sanji puddings.
Yeah, but this was one of my frustrations when I was playing the GP Luffy deck before. The deck is a lot of fun, but can fall apart without the Sanji puddings.
And especially without the Luffy Taro Sanjis, it's um both just it feels bad when you whiff on one or the other. Maybe he has a Luffy Taro in hand.
Yep, he could be saving it for Luffy Taro into Sanji pudding.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately I don't think he has that much time left.
Nope, you're at 1 life versus Rayleigh, and Rayleigh is still at 4 life, so gotta go fast. So we are buffing this up to a Nami up to a 4K, and we are gonna take this Zorojo free. Here's why I really do love the free costs which GP Luffy can play in this matchup, because they do generate a lot of value, so can act as a little bit of a pseudo blocker for turn.
No, he has the
Are
Luffy.
we
It
are
is
seeing
coming
this Luffy
out.
down, which is always nice, keeping our board nice and wide.
You'd love
Are
to see a
seeing
Boa here as Rene
yep a
or
Boa
Sanji,
or another
obviously.
Sanji, and yep we
Yeah,
are seeing the second Luffy into Sanji play of this particular game, but we have seen it many times in this best of 3 series already. It is the premium play. Although I don't hate the Boa here because it does let you be more aggressive on this turn.
Yeah, she replaces herself immediately. Doesn't get as punished by a Luna when she does swing, and because when you swing with her, you have the option to just immediately turn her into extra Dawn for larger swings, which we're at the point in the game where that matters a lot too. But Sanji is going to be a free 6K swing, so you can't discount that either. I think both are they're almost as good of options as one another. But the boa
Definitely.
also would have been nice because she is a brick, and when she stays in hand, she doesn't have any counter power, whereas the Sanji gives you that extra 1K. So just two things to consider in a situation like this. Oh, and he plays the 2K Sanji.
We are seeing the Hell's Judgment, which turns off the aggression for one turn, but we are seeing this 2K Sanji come down, which is a huge beater for this deck. The only scary thing about this 2K Sanji potentially is we are now going to be getting. We don't have any rested bodies on Rene's board. So if we want to use the Sanji, we may think about countering some of this here, as we are.
The amount of pressure that Rene is going to have access to next turn with this Sanji on the board, though, is it's unbelievable. He's going to have so many 6K, 7K swings.
I
The
do like that
firing
we're
squad.
choosing to protect our life here a bit, just so that we can get the value out of the Sanji without
Hmm.
putting us in a situation where we're going to die. And we're finally seeing this 6 cost Luffy drop from Tinnoy, which is the first time we've seen it in this best of 3. Unfortunately, this isn't. Well, I like it to be pushing the life down, which really maybe will make Rene think twice about using the Sanji. It's not a Sanji pudding.
Yeah, it's the fact that we haven't seen a single one this game. It's Tinnoy is not a happy camper right now.
Well, I do really like the fact that we've managed to get Rene down to 2 life. This will make Rene have to think carefully about his turn, especially if he wants to use this Sanji effect, because we've got this restanding Luffy stuck on board, and the damage that card can do when it's played as a rush card is amazing. But when we're not using 6 Don to pay for it, it can really hit some big restand numbers.
It's with 3 Dawn up too. It's you have it's looking like around 9K worth of counters, sometimes 10K, because you're looking at potentially Hell's Judgment plus Giant or Dead Man's Game counter, right? So that is it's not nothing. But how many cards does Tinoi have now?
Was getting lower, but I would need to see him pick it up again. We are
Oh,
choosing
and
to Mulgun this Luffy, which I do like a lot because if that thing's stuck on board, our life would be in danger.
but like I said, we are still able to put out absurd amounts of pressure here with Rene's board.
Yep, we've got
Um, Likely
4
lethal.
big attackers here. Uh,
Yeah.
I hate saying likely lethal against these purple Luffy decks.
No, yeah, that's where I was going. Is it looks like likely lethal, but I think the smart play is to play that mole gun and just make sure that you're going to survive another turn. Because all you have to do is leave up a couple Dawn and have that Conqueror's Hockey in your hand or two, and you're going to be safe whilst getting the opponent's resources in hand down lower and continuing to grind down their Dawn count because they haven't been able to play those Sanji puddings like they want to.
And we are seeing our first poke, or actually, I'm not entirely sure where we leader powered on this turn. This could have been the leader power onto the Sanji.
Yeah, Renee's got to get some of those counters to to indicate that he's boosted his character.
And we are, interestingly enough, we're choosing to swing it into the Zorajiro.
I like it.
Yep, it does make us feel a lot safer. And it would feel very rough to know to be countering out of his board here.
It's interesting too because you're afraid of what? A rush Luffy. And rush Luffy is never going to be enough to kill you in this situation. I don't
Not
even
when
think
we've
he
got
has the
super
ability
hackies.
to play it next turn. No, he will have the ability to play it next turn. But yeah, with the Conqueror's Hockey, it's never really a threat, and even if he was to try to restand it, he'd take his own life. So there's really no actual threat when you run through the lines that Tinnoy has access to. So here you can put a lot of pressure on him.
I certainly wouldn't
And
have minded potentially baiting into life first and then switching into board.
yeah, yeah.
We are seeing the giant being searched off of this searcher event. And we are now in this position where Tinnoy is 0 life and a dream again. Are using this dead man's. I wonder if we
So
are gonna use this Sanji. We're opting not to swing with Sanji here. We are just gonna be very safe, which I do always think if you can play safe, it is always better to play safe. But maybe a little bit more aggression could have seen us through. We'll have to see what Tinoi puts up. We know one card in his hand is definitely the giant now. We are finally seeing our first Sanji pudding.
he puts his head down in sadness. I was playing versus Philip Vu in an online regional a couple weeks ago, and he was on Zoro and I was on Bunky, and I could not find my shoe buggies. And I was like, I did probably 5 searches and did not find a single one. And there was a turn where like I did 2 or 3 searches, and he was like, "Surely you get it now, right?" And then I pull a Alvita or something like that. And he's like, "Yeah, that's just a super super low roll." Um,
It can happen.
it can.
But this is why there's every matchup has a percentage. The low roll is always going to be an option. And we are passed with 4 Don available.
Rene having flashbacks to his previous game
Yep.
as he ponders this lethal,
The good
or
thing is we do potentially, if we are going to commit to this, we do have.
we do have what I didn't. I think you cut out there at the
We
end.
do have this 2-cost Sanji active because we can take a life to boost
Yeah.
this up. So, and to be fair, again, in this situation, I actually don't mind maybe poking at life and switching to board. Especially because we've got this Mulgun, which could
Oh,
take
there it
out the Sanji
is.
Pudding. But in the
Yeah.
very same hand, we do have a Jet Gatling if we
The
want. Pull
Gatling.
the
Yeah.
trigger. Not the Jet Gatling, the Kong Gatling. We have got too many
King Kong.
attacks.
Yeah. King Kong Gatling or King Kong gun.
It's some combination of Gaman, Kong, and Gatling.
Yeah. Those words are in there. Kong Gatling, I think. Chat says.
Yeah. I think we're correct on that one. Gum Gum King Kong Gatling. There we go.
So is this a 10k now, or has he boosted even more?
So I think we did Leader Power and then Gatling onto this. So this
It
would
is
be a
12.
12k swing.
So that's 10k and then 13k with the Dead Man's Game.
Is a lot of counter to drop. I wonder if we can keep this
Playing a
up.
Boa, looking for something.
Um,
Unblockable event.
Hello, Madrox in chat. It's great to have you joining in. this is the counter is not stopping. We
And
still
now
have
6k, it looks like.
so much Don left available for this Rayleigh. And it looks like we're hovering this Mulgun.
In a situation like this, and I had this situation in a regional a while back where you could swing at board or face, right? It's like, but if you, my, and let me know if this is not the correct way to think about this, but if your opponent can counter out toward the end of his turn if they can counter out of a swing at board, or if they ever get to the point where they don't counter or they cannot counter, wouldn't you always rather have that going at face because then you just win as opposed to just clearing out that character?
Definitely when board and life are the same numbers, then you might as well just throw it at life.
Yes, yeah.
Because Tim will probably defend the Zoro the same way he defends life. Because for him, that is the only out to hit the life on the clapback.
And Rene just being put through the blender here. he's you could tell he's he's like, what is happening? Because he has to make the decision on whether or not to play the mulligan, and it looks like he might just do that. Just
I
mulligan,
think you're
leave one
very
up for
safe
conquerors.
on Mulgun, leave one up.
Yeah,
You'd have
it
Tinnoy
almost
would have to
feels
have a
greedy,
rusher.
but
Tinnoy would have to have a rusher, but then we'd also absolutely tear through both the leader swing and the Zoro swing because of the Conqueror.
oh, the Sanji effect comes through.
It looks like we're pulling the trigger. And we are going to do this dramatically. So,
How much does he need now?
so we
So they're
are at
counting.
a 6 on Sanji.
I think it's 12k,
Yep. So we are going to need
3k.
3k from.
Or he could get a Dead Man's Game.
Yep, if Dead Man's Game would do it.
Here we go. This is scary. Okay.
So it could
He's
still be Dead
revealing
Man's.
them one at a time.
Could still be Dead Man's.
The reveal. Oh, it's the Sanji pudding, of course.
The Gum gambling did not work.
Oh my god.
but we did do it in the most
That was such a
dramatic way
sweat.
possible.
Rene, the madman, you got to tell me, would you have mole gunned the Sanji pudding if you had another chance to do this?
He did say in chat earlier, a normal human being here swings 668 Mulgun pass and wins. But Rene is not a normal human. And that is
Ugh,
why we love him.
what a great way to end a game in a series.
What a really good series, with a really good showing from GP Luffy, because I have seen this matchup be um very one-sided.
Rene says, I told him in the game Mulgun is the correct play, but I ain't a bitch. If it was for Worlds, I play Mulgun. Okay, okay. I mean, and to be fair, Tino, I really made that as, you know, as scary and as much of a sweat as possible. So we got the content out of it. It would have been great from my end. I would have screamed if we saw the dead man's
I
game
would
off
have
the top.
screamed as well.
But the
Uh,
Sanji pudding was just as cathartic in the opposite direction.
yep, Tin, ironically, finally finding his Sanji puddings, not when he wanted it.
Yeah, it's always the last card off the top when you do not need it anymore.